Geometry lesson on midsegments of triangles. So let us think about what exactly is a midsegment. It is defined to be the segment that connects the midpoints of the two of the sides. Let that be D, be the midpoint of segment AB, right here, guys, right? And let, oh, I don't know, E be the midpoint of AC. So these two are the same. When you connect them, right, like that, what do you notice? It's the same. What do you notice, guys? Right, according to the theorem, guys, right, according to the theorem, the this midline right there is the well, some books call it midline. This book calls it midsegment. So triangle midsegment theorem or triangle midline theorem is that this midsegment is both parallel is parallel to the third side, and it is the half the length of that, right? So what I'm going to do is on a visual test that appears to be parallel, doesn't it? Okay, so let's take that for what it is, and clearly you could see that I to the segment DE, just eyeballing it, right? So let me copy paste that right there. That's one, and that should be pretty close. Ooh, yeah. So I was a little bit off, but you could clearly tell it's about half, right? But it is exactly half, right? All right. And there is a way to prove this, but let's hold that off for now. Okay. All right. Now what do I do? So this is asking us to basically do a geometric proof or use the properties to show that the midpoint over here is indeed parallel to GI and is half the length. So your job is to find the slope of GI and JK to show that they're the same. And then to find the length of GI and length of the JK to show that the JK is one half of the GI. Okay. So this is something that you should be able to do on your own after a lot of practice that we had in the past. So why don't you go ahead and try that before I show you the correct answer. All right, we're back. Hopefully you found what the coordinate of JK is. I didn't mention it just before the pause, but J is the midpoint, so you have to use the midpoint formula. And same for the K. Here it is, guys. So when you do this right here, guys, the J is the midpoint of these two, and so we have that's negative what? -7, comma -1, and and then what we have here is -5. H is -5, and that is 5, right? So when we do the midpoint of to find the value of the J, that's midpoint of this and this. So it's the average of the X values right there, which is -6, and the average of the Y values, which is 2, right? So that's what that is. We add the two X's divided by 2, add the two Y's and divide by 2. I just prefer to remember it as the average of X and average of Y, which gives you this. Same thing with point K. So we take the average of X values from H and I, and then take the average value of Y values from either one. And the I in this particular case is what? 1 and 3. Okay. All right. So when you do that, that's average of -5 and 1, that's -2. Average of 5 and 3, which is 4. So we got the J and K. So we're good to go, right? So we need to find the slope of JK. And visually, you could kind of tell, right? So if you had to use the values over here, that is change in y and change in x. So change in y is y minus 2, which is 2. -2 minus -6 gives you +4. That's 1/2. And you could clearly tell 1, 1, 2, right? But let's go show the work, shall we? So that is 3 minus -1, which is 4, divided by 1 minus -7, which is 8. 4 over 8 is equal to 1/2. Therefore, they're parallel. Good. Now, JK is one of the ways that I will allow you to, one of the things I'm going to allow you to do is this. Draw a right triangle over here And you could tell that distance between -6 and -2 is 4. And the distance between vertically 2 and 4 is 2. So you could go straight to this right here, guys. Okay. And then we do the same thing over here, right? And the distance here is 8, and that is 4, right? Because 1 minus minus 7 is 8, 3 minus minus 1 is 4, right? And then you figure out that that is, when you add 64 plus 16 is 80, 16 times 5, 16 pops out as a 4. So you got to find out what perfect square divides the radicand, right? So 4 times 5, 4 pops out as a 2. Clearly, twice that is 4.5, 4 root 5, right? Therefore, JK is 1/2 of GI. All right, guys? Okay. All right. So let's go to the next set of questions, shall we? And I think I have a boo-boo here. Yep, I do. And you should cross this part off. Okay, I just copy and pasted it, and that wasn't supposed to be there. So J is the midpoint of LM. Okay, J is the midpoint of the LM. So that is, the way I would do that is like what? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, go up. That's the 1. So that's a 2 right there, right? Yep, that's a midpoint. So that is J. And point Q is the midpoint of the MN. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or simply that we have 1 and 9. The average of 9 and 1 is 10 divided by 2, which is 5, right? So 5 going all the way across is this one, right? So that is 1, 2, 1. Yep, that is it. So you could just do it that way, guys, okay? Let me just do that a little neater. And that point is supposed to be Q. And I suppose we're going to find out that JQ is parallel to LN and show that the, hold on, it says P. All right, apparently there's another typo. That really should be, it says P right here, guys, right? So that really should be P. So forget that, that's supposed to be P. Sorry about that, guys. All right, guys. This is very similar to the previous question. Let's see if you could do that. And in the next question after that, yeah, I think it's very similar. So why don't you try the both and then to check it if you get it right. So if you do, you're in an excellent shape. All right. All right, guys. Pause the video first, please. Okay, guys, here it is. Right. And it looks like I just carried on the work over here, completely oblivious to the fact that that actually should have been P, right, in the previous year. All right. You know what's easier to do then? Sometimes just cross it off and call that J. All right. So, but because of what I did earlier, you should just probably call it P, 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 and P. All right, guys. Okay. So what I did over here, so first of all, I gotta find points J and Q, right? So that's 6, 8, and 9, 5. And then slope over here is, you could go through the calculation, but what really you should do is just count as well. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So that's -1. And you could see the same thing here, just -1, right? Or just -6, 6. So that they're both -1, so they're parallel. And visually you could tell that they're the same, right? And this over here is this distance. It's a square root of 3 squared plus 3 squared, which is 18. That's 9 times 3. 9 is a perfect square, pops out as 3. There you go. And that's a 6 and 6. You could tell by similar triangles that, that's twice. And the length over here, obviously, but we still want to show the work, right? So the length ln is square root of 6 squared, 6 squared. There you go. That's 72. So 36 times 2 pops out as 6 root 2. Yep, that is true. Okay, next question. Here we go. Knowing that this is a midpoint that was given to us, right? What do we do? Sorry. Yeah, there you go. So using that information, what we could do is that the UW here, right? So these represents the midpoints of this triangle. And then if that's the case, UW is half of that length, right? So that's what I said over here. So that's 5.1, okay? And find the SVU. SVU, find this angle, right? And we know that these two are parallel, right? They're parallel, like this. So this is alternating angle, therefore that has to be 41. Okie dokie. You know what I just realized? I forgot to mention the fact that the points U, W, and V are midpoints. Sorry about that. Okay, that was missing from the direction. Okay. All right, guys. So we have next set of questions. That is your turn. Okay. All right. Could you guys work on this one? And then I'll show you the answers that I have, the solution that I have, without any explanation. But we could talk about it in class if that gave you trouble. All right. Pause the video first, please. Okay, we're back. And this is what you should have gotten for the first U-turn. And for the second one, that is it. All right, guys, that is it for me today. So I shall see you in the next video. All right, bye-bye.